Okay, so today is very simple, I would say. Tomorrow a little bit trickier because not everything's going to be nice and pretty like it is today, but it's really not that terrible. So you can still use your calculator today and tomorrow. There will be a portion on Wednesday where you cannot use your calculator because you can get every answer by putting your calculator.
That's the whole reason.
It's not hard, I promise. It's not hard. Okay, so when I give you this, the square root of 16. Guys, what is the square root of 16? 4. Okay, now the reason is because 4 squared equals 16. So you know this, 4 squared is 16. We're just going backwards today. Okay, so what I could do is I could actually rewrite this. Instead of 16, I could put 4 squared in here. So when you have a square root, there is this number right here, and then there's an imaginary 2 here. There's an imaginary 2, and we call that the root. That's why we say square root or cube root. So we call this the root. And that will change. We'll do square root, cube root, 4th root, 5th root.
What? That is crazy.
Okay, so what happens here is the reason that this is just 4 is because when I change 16 to 4 squared, these 2's cancel out. And that's why I just get the 4. Okay?
That would be 2.
No, it wouldn't be 2. Because 2 times 2 is 4. I want to know what times what is 16. So when you talk about square root, the reason it's called a square root is because I'm listing this number 2 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, let's do a different one. If I do cube root of 8. So I wrote on the board here, I have your squares and I have some of your cubes. Over here, I even have some of your 4s and then the 5 that you have. 2. Yeah, so 2. Now, it's just 2 though. A lot of people will write it incorrectly and they'll say, oh, cube root of 8 is 2 to the 3rd. Look, I don't want you to write this. It's not 2 to the 3rd, it's just 2. Don't write 2 to the 3rd. Okay, and here's why. Let me show you again. 8 is 2 to the 3rd. These 3's, what do? Cancel out. That's why you just get a 2. Okay, so the exponent goes away. So we're going to do several examples today. They go real quick. Some of them, they're really just like one little step. Wrong way. Okay, number 1. Yeah, just simplifying. What's the square root of 64? 8. That's it. That's it, yeah. You know it's not bad.
Bro, that was hard.
Yeah, -8. So because there's a negative in front, they're saying, well, we want to make this answer negative. What's in front of this square root? A positive. Yeah, it's a positive. That's why it's +8. What if they put a plus or minus square root 64? Plus or minus 8. That's it. So now instead of just a positive or just a negative, they're just saying, well, we want the positive and the negative version. That's it. If there's something in front, it just stays in front. That's it. Okay, number 4. So I'm changing the root on you. Instead of a square root, I moved to 4th root. 2. Why is it 2? Right. 2 to the 4th is 16. So just 2. That's all you have to put. Am I moving too fast?
No. You got it.
Just if I am, just tell me because they go so quick. Oh, that's not. Oh, that's fine.
2.
Okay, so up here, let me go back up here for a second. We did cube root of 8 is 2. It is -2. Cube root of -8.
So if it's on the outside, it stays with it?
Right, so on the outside here, and here's what I want you to take note here, because what happens is, if I do, let's look at this one, cube root of -8, that means -2 times -2 times -2 equals -8. Okay, these all have to be exactly the same. Well, what if I did square root of -64?
It'd be 8.
Okay, so if I do 8 times 8, though, that's +64.
Yeah.
If I do -8 times -8, what is that?
64.
Also positive. Is there any way for me to get that negative?
No.
No. So when you have an even root, I want you to write this on your paper. if you have a square root or a fourth root, the inside has to be positive. Inside must be, I just make a big plus sign, positive. So you have to have a positive in here and a positive in here. If you have a cube root or a fifth root and a negative, you can do that, that's fine. But when it's even out here, it has to be positive.
Is there ever gonna be a sixth root?
I don't think so. I think we keep it 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't go too much higher than that. Okay, I'm gonna come back down here. Did everyone write that?
No.
No. Okay, number 6. Square root of 0.25. Don't be discouraged. Yeah, if you know that what the square root of 25 is, then you know what the square root of 0.25 is. 0.5. So if there's a decimal here, just add a decimal here. Okay, number 7. Square root of negative 16. You can't do it. Right. What's our root right here?
Square.
A 2. When there's nothing there, it's a 2. Because it's even, I can't do this. So you say it's not really no solution, and we'll get to why later. You just say not real number. Oh. Yeah, that's fine. Non-real number, not a real number, something like that. I don't think that's what I wanted to say. It says
No
not.
real number? No real number?
Yeah. That's not right. Okay, number 8.
Wait.
Yeah.
Like,
You can't. Okay, so when it's a square root or a cube root, square root or a fourth root, I can do this because this would be 4 and then it would be negative 4. But I cannot do this when it's on the inside.
oh, because it has to be a positive and negative.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, number 8. Okay, when it's like this, I like to simplify this first. So on the inside, what is negative 2 to the 4th power? If 2 to the 4th power
negative 16.
Is it negative?
No.
No, it's still positive 16. Because if you look at this, if I do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, these negatives would multiply to be positive, and so would these. So I can still do a negative 2 to the 4th is 16. So now, what is the 4th root of 16? Just 2. So if you can simplify the inside first, that's what I would do. And then just take the 4th root. Okay, so we're going to move to some letters.
Oh,
Why does everything have to involve
It always gets harder.
letters?
This is actually really easy though, I promise. Okay, what is my root right here?
1.
2. It's never 1. It's always going to be a 2 or a 3 or a 4, something like that. Okay, over here, when I wrote, remember when I did 4th root of 2 to the 4th, and what did I say about these 4s?
You gotta. You can't.
They cancel out. The reason they cancel is because what I'm doing is I'm actually dividing 4 divided by 4, which is 1. So this is like a 2 to the 1st. That's what you're going to do here.
4.
Just divide. So this would be
X4.
8 divided by 2, which is x4.
That's the answer.
That's it. Yeah. So it's a lot easier than you think. Just divide. Because what I'm looking for is, that would be x to the 4th times x to the 4th. What do I do with those exponents? You add them. So x to the 8th. So I'm taking this, I'm just splitting it in half. Let's do another one like that.
yeah.
Cube root of A6, B3, C9. So now I'm taking each one of those letters, and instead of splitting it into half, I'm splitting it into
3.
thirds, right? So you divide each one by 3. So I'm going to write it here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to do 6 divided by 3.
2 of 3.
I'm going to do 3 divided by 3. And I'm going to do 9 divided by 3. Okay, if it helps to write this, write it. If you don't need it, then don't do it. So this will be A squared, B to the 1, if you want to put the 1 you can. No, and then C3. So I would take this, or I would take this, either one of those. So the one thing I want you to remember here, because this will come into Wednesday is power divided by root. Power divided by root. And we'll do more of that Wednesday too. Almost. I have 4 more. Okay, number 11. So now we're going to combine the number with the letter.
Yay.
But you can do it. You can do them separately, which means you can also do them together. So what is the square root of 49?
7.
7. And what's my number here is a 2, so I'm just dividing. 8 divided by 2.
X4.
X4. Done. Yeah, it's not terrible.
You gotta remember this.
Today, yes. What happens tomorrow is instead of everything coming outside the square root, some things will be left inside the square root. It's not horrible though. It's just not as pretty as this. Okay, number 12. 5th root, 32 x 10, y 15. So just do one piece at a time. What's the 5th root of 32?
2.
Yeah, I put it right here. It's 2. Okay, and then you're dividing here. 10 divided by 5, x squared, and 15 divided by 2 is 3. Easy?
No.
Don't lie. It's easy.
This is easy.
Watch hard, it's gonna be hard.
Well, I told you it's a little harder, so I don't lie to you.
This is easy. It's not even hard.
Okay, number 13. I have 2 more for you. That's it. 2 more. Okay, on this one, number 13. First here, what's my root? Right here.
2.
A 2. Okay, don't worry about anything inside the parentheses. Only look at the power. So I have power divided by root. What's 2 divided by 2?
1.
1. So just x plus 2. If you want to put the 1 there, put the 1 there.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to put the 1.
You don't have to do anything with this?
Nope. Don't do anything with it.
Only the number in the only just like that.
Like you don't do anything with it? Oh, I see what you're saying, because there's an x?
Yeah.
Right. So if it's inside parentheses like this, I don't do anything with that. I take that parentheses, I put it here, and I divide power divided by root, I put my exponent. I lied, I have 2 more. I forgot I have 2 more.
Oh, it's not something.
Okay, 14.
Just do it every time.
That's rude.
Y'all are fine.
It's like saying you're gonna give me $1 million and give me your
Is it the same?
things. It is like exactly the
Okay, so remember, don't worry about anything inside the parentheses. Just look at this. Power divided by root is 2. So I rewrite what's in the parentheses, and I put my 2. So even though there's a power on the inside, it doesn't matter. I'm looking at this bigger power here. Yes, only what's on the outside. That's it. Okay, last one. What did you say? Oh, I know. I write it way bigger. Last one. What number am I on? Square root of 3x to the 4th. What's my root?
2.
Okay, now here's what be careful, because a lot of people forget the parentheses on this one. Just like the last two, I'm going to leave the parentheses and then put my 2. If you put this, it's incorrect, and a lot of people just get lazy and that's what they put. This is not the same as this, because this is really equal to 9x squared. So I will take either of these. I will not take this. Got it?
No.
You got it. Okay, I'm going to give you your worksheet. You should get it done in class. It takes no